Hey everyone, Aussie Viking here to do another video. So there's a lot of things been happening with Star Wars lately and all that, and one of the big ones is the ideas of leaks of the new Star Wars film. Now, I'm hoping they're fake, but let's be honest here, after episode 7 and 8, nothing will surprise me what the bullshit Disney is going to give us. So, yeah. Now, the idea of leaks this early on isn't as crazy as you think, because after The Last Jedi came out, there were leaks from all the way back, like 6 months after, maybe even less, after Force Awakens came out, and there was a few that went, holy shit, this is real. Especially when you look back at it. You know, these leaks came out, everybody thought they were fake, movie comes out, holy shit, these were pretty spot on. But one of the, so there's so far been 2 leaks that may or may not be real, like, obviously, big grain of salt, but I find these a bit interesting because they kind of sound between okay and terrible. So, yeah. Anyway, the first one is, well, this is what the guy says. There's a million fakes a month, yada yada yada. I have shared an early storyboard episode 5, 6, 7, 8, which he did 2 years ago, and he said he was hesitant to come forward. But here's, with the 4chan leak servicing, which is legit, I figured I'd come forward to show and protect others who didn't want to be spoiled. Now, then he links to his thread 2 years ago about what he said. Now, reading it, you realise that he was right in a few ways. He was right that Snoke dies, spoilers. He was right that there's a force bond between them and a sort of relationship, and, you know, that was about it. Everything else, there was a lot of crap in there too. But he was kind of right about a few things, but still, because some people are saying that he might be right in terms of he's seeing concept art, which when a film's being made, there's concept art, but they're not always 100%. Some concept art doesn't even get used. Some concept art even just changes, or they might be like, yeah, we'll try different things. So concept art, while it can give spoilers, isn't necessarily 100%. A full finished film is 100%, more or less. So it is plausible this man has seen artwork. It is plausible this man has seen artwork from the movie, but it might not be what it is. So I think an idea was somebody years ago saw them filming the broom boy scene where he uses the force, grabs the broom and does all that. Somebody saw that. And they could have, and they leaked it, like, okay, I saw a scene. Realistically, they're like, okay, I saw a scene of a guy using the force to pick a broom up, and he was a broom boy, basically. However, somebody could spin that and say, we saw a flashback of Kylo using the force with a broom. You know, so the idea of switching around and changing things up is quite easy to do with a concept that is real, but not in the right context. So that's what I want to keep in mind. But then this could all just be bullshit. Right now, I don't care. Like, after episode 7, I was like, I don't give a shit about spoilers anymore. Disney has fucked Star Wars enough. I'm just going to keep going. So he says that 5 years later, now, it's more or less been confirmed there's going to be a time gap. And 5 years is plausible. I think 5 to 10 years is a very plausible idea. And 5 years is pretty good in the middle. So there's a 5-year gap. The Last Jedi, the Resistance is no longer centralized and not a popular idea among the galaxy. Kylo Ren's rule over the galaxy is seen by most as benevolent. Many within the Resistance itself are questioning why they should even be fighting. Kind of understandable. I kind of think that's kind of interesting. This is one of the only interesting aspects, to be truthful, where Kylo Ren is actually a good leader. But, I mean, he's pretty insane in The Last Jedi. But then again, 5 years, that is a time gap that is plausible that things change. Who knows? Not surprising, Rey, Poe, Finn, and Leia are still holding fast to the idea the galaxy should not be under Imperial rule. Now, Leia, that's the main one here. Leia. They've said that they're not going to recast Leia or anything like that, but it's plausible that could change, or it's plausible this automatically throws out the window because this is fake. Either or, really. They are tipped off by a Mo inside the First Order, promising that if they follow their lead, they will discover the horrifying true nature of the First Order. The tip leads them to a planet in the unknown regions, and they must infiltrate a First Order command station to extract a young, female alien prodigy who is the key to navigating these regions. After a successful rescue of the girl, essentially a prisoner of the First Order, they discover a planet entirely compromised of an ocean. Beneath its waters is the secret to the First Order's unlimited resources. An ancient manufacturing station literally powered by the populations of conquered worlds of the unknown regions. This entire plot revolves around liberating the captives before they are exterminated and exposing these horrors to the galaxy at large. This plot is resolved with the unknown regions becoming united and preparing for war with the known regions. The B plot revolves around Kylo Ren hunting down other Force users in secret using the Knights of Ren and trying to discover the mole among his ranks. At the end of the film, it's revealed Hux is the mole and he's trying to get the galaxy to revolt against Ren's empire and believes he can claim the throne after the fallout. Many Force users have sought out Rey for protection, both really young and really old. Rey and Kylo still converse through the Force and can even manifest their whole presence in front of each other. It is slowly revealed they secretly love each other. The big reveal in the film is that one of Rey's students is actually a child, and Kylo becomes so enraged when finding that he nearly kills Rey, who is only saved at the last minute by Leia. And he says this is an early storyboard, things could change, yada 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 yada. So, this is the one thing I mix with. Basically, it's the things like unknown regions sound great. The things with the First Order having an ancient command station stuff sounds great, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna connect all three trilogies. It doesn't make it feels like they've thrown that out of the window if they go with this. Another thing, it really makes Ben even worse of a character. Like, he's a great character, but if he goes around killing Force users, it's kind of like, well, why? Now he's basically Vader again. He literally said in the last film he doesn't want to be Vader again, and now he's like, instead of using Force users to become part of my empire, I'm going to kill them. And that's a rehash of the sequel trilogy, the original prequel trilogy. I mean, another thing is, okay, Hux, I can absolutely believe is a mole trying to take Ren down. Absolutely, I can believe that 100%. But just things like the planet, it's just an ocean planet being controlled and stuff. It's like, how does that, like, that's boring. Why is that interesting? A water planet? What's that got to do with anything? How is that going to relate to the Chosen One from the prequel trilogy and the Empire, like, the darkness in, like, that doesn't make much sense. Like, if they go with this plot, which at this point in time, it does not surprise me, Star Wars is dead. At least the sequel trilogy. Like, basically everything after episode 6 is dead. And if you're a fan of Star Wars, just go to Legends. It's so much superior. Like, it just doesn't make much sense. Okay, ancient, unknown region sounds great. I'd love to go there. But to find a prodigy and then, like, they have to just rise an army, it's like, but why? Like, to fight the First Order. But the First Order in canon isn't actually that big. Apparently it's not that big at all. It's just very weird and very dumb, I think, and I really hope this is fake. Now, the idea of the Force user child, well, I mean, if they're going to have a Force user child, and it's the old-fashioned way of, A and B, woman and male, sticking it in with each other, then how does Kylo not know he has a son or a daughter? That doesn't make much sense to me. And then it's like, wouldn't he be able to sense her as well? Wouldn't he be like, oh, wait, I had sex with her that night. Maybe we've got a child on the way. It's plausible. And then it's like, if it's a Force child, like that touch scene they had in Last Jedi, it's like, well, that's just rehashing, again, the prequel trilogy, just like they were rehashing the original trilogy. It's because, and that's the one thing I hate about the sequel trilogy, it hasn't got an original bone in its body. It just doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. It's disgustingly stupid. But yeah, that's one of them. It sounds dumb. It sounds bad. There's like one or two things that sound cool and actually sound plausible. And if this is similar to the leaks like beforehand, then I think at the very least the idea of Hux being a mole and Kylo being a benevolent ruler makes sense. And I think that might be at least what's going to be in the next episode. The next episode 9 leak is interesting as well, sort of. Poster comes across like more than they know and take it with a grain of salt, and there's also a Solo leak, which kind of, like, Solo coming out soon, this kind of validates if it's real or not to an extent. So basically, this leak has some truth to it, yada yada yada, read them, we're getting 2 more movies. It says this time we're getting 2 more movies for the Skywalker Saga, Episode 9 Part 1 and Part 2. Or it could be Episode 9 and 10, both directed by JJ, that will be released 1 year apart in 2019 and 2020. Not impossible, especially how big Infinity War got. It wouldn't surprise me if they're like, let's just make a big film and split up in 2 parts. That is entirely plausible to me, especially with Disney at the helm. Kylo Ren and Rey will end up together. It's plausible. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That's definitely something that I think could happen. There won't be any more Force Bonds scenes with Rey and Kylo. They will meet in person. Okay, because in the last film they did seem like they would cut it off. Rey loses parents were Empire soldiers who were stuck on Jakku after the battle, so they traded Rey for a place on a ship to get off Jakku, but Rey got distraught and blasted the ship out the sky using the Force, in her anger, and killed them. Yep, Rey killed her own parents, that's her mystery parentage. Arya and Kylo knew about this since he read Rey's mind interrogation scene, but didn't tell because he didn't want to hurt her, and yes, Rey is a nobody. First up, okay, so Rey being a nobody... Rey's already a terrible character. She's got no good features. She's a Mary Sue. She's the worst protagonist, worst female I think in all the film, at least so far. And if this is true, this kind of cements it. As a kid, she's so powerful she kills her parents. Now, I like that concept of her killing her parents, but my biggest downside is, how does she not know that she killed them? Then again, Aunt Unkar Plot or whatever the bastard's name was could just say, oh, it was a bomb on there or something. Fair enough, but how does she not remember it? How does she not remember that her parents got blown up and all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, my parents are still out there. It's like, but they're dead. They're blown up and stuff. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know at all, but the idea of her killing her parents somehow sounds interesting, but the way, if it's just like this and she somehow forget with no information, which is possible they could, I don't know. The idea of Rey's parents being Empire soldiers is implausible as well. I like that, but Rey being a nobody and being so powerful in the Force, I hate that. I honestly hate that. But, I mean, even if they make Rey an acceptable character in the 3rd film, she's still a terrible character for 2 films, so, Force Ghost Luke will be in the next movie and will only interact with Kylo, not Rey. Sounds a bit weird that to go for Kylo, but it kind of makes sense. But you'd be like, wouldn't you want to train Rey and any Jedi that she's going to train? I mean, that's why I think it's a grain of salt, Phasma is still alive, and Finn will finally kill it in the next movie. And Finn will be a better leader of the Resistance, not Poe. This I kind of believe, because Phasma's basically been shown to be akin to Kenny from South Park. He dies, comes back, so I'd like that. I mean, again, just like Rey, Phasma's a shit character, okay? Maybe in the extended universe she's better, but from film universe, from film canon, she's terrible, okay? If she's in the 3rd one and she dies, I'll be fine. Maybe she'll die like a badass. Who knows? But right now, she's terrible. She's like worse than Boba Fett from the original trilogy in film verse. Extended canon stuff, he's amazing, but from the film standpoint, he's shit as well. The only one that was worthy of being a badass was Grievous, Dooku, and Jango. They actually did more in their respective films as villains than the sequel trilogy, or the original trilogy, so there's that. Poe will become a terrorist in line with the extreme methods of defeating the Force or First Order. Some of this makes sense because of the whole we are the spark that will take the First Order down and stuff like that. That makes sense, and he does seem like he's really into it, and he'll go as far as he can to stop them. But to become a terrorist, I don't know, that seems kind of out of left field. Maybe an extremist, but not a terrorist. But then again, I guess you could say that they're about the same, so... Knights of Ren are Luke's old students who started with Kylo after the temple destruction. They are Kylo's friends and loyal to him and him alone. They are all Force sensitive and have red lightsabers. One of them is a woman who has some romantic history with Kylo. Now, I can see the Knights of Ren, 90% of this I can see the Knights of Ren being that. Love interest though, I mean, what's the point? Like, what's the point? We have a love interest and what, does she die by Rey's hand, then they fall in love, and it's like, why? Like, if the Knights of Ren had a loving relationship with Kylo, and she gets killed by Rey or one of her friends, and Kylo's like, oh, whatever, I love you, Rey, and stuff, it's like, but she just killed someone you used to love years ago, like, what? I think that's dumb. But then again, JJ, Star Wars, Disney, goddamn Disney. So, plausible. Rey will build herself a new purple lightsaber staff. Now, I like that. I want that to be a thing. Maybe blue, not purple. I don't know why purple, but blue would be... A blue lightsaber staff would be badass, and I totally want that. That would redeem Rey in, like at one point. Rey would be slightly more badass if she did this, but yeah. Rey will build a new... Kylo will dual-wield the blue legacy saber after he fixes it and his own red lightsaber in his and Rey's fight with Knights of Ren in the end only. Otherwise, he will wield his red lightsaber in other fights. That seems a bit weird because how does he get the blue legacy saber? Rey had it. Of course, again, 5 years, they could change it, maybe explain it in the movie, but it's like... So, Rey goes out. Instead of using the lightsaber that she has parts for and components, she just puts it aside and makes her own new lightsaber. I get it, but who's going to teach her how? You know, it's just... of course, this could all be explained in the film, but it just seems a bit weird. I know this is kind of like a nitpick, but I really hope this is fake. Leia will tell Rey about what truly happened in Kylo's past, and Rey will reach out to Kylo to help with her own force powers. And Leia will die because of Hux, and Kylo will really lose it then. I can see Kylo really losing it, but for that stuff, why does Rey have to reach out to Kylo for help with force powers? She's already a 10 out of 10 in terms of how she can use her force powers. She doesn't need any help. And that kind of goes against the whole she learnt from Kylo when they did the mind meld in 1 and 2. Like, I don't know, it's weird. And what else in Kylo's past? What? Like, hopefully it's to do with Snoke, but I don't know. Rose is not much important. She'll have a romance with Finn. She'll be the voice of reason for the Resistance and Finn when they, Poe, mostly start to act like the First Order and will be hell-bent on killing Kylo. Fair enough. I mean, she's got to be something, right? She's got to be a better character than she was in The Last Jedi. Poe gets smacked by Rey and Leia both. Well, I like that. Poe getting slapped. He's a great character, actually. Like, his charisma as an actor really sells his character. But in depth-wise, he's terrible, just like the rest of the characters. But he's at least a character that I can have fun with. Kylo will be a benevolent and rational ruler who'll gain followers, fans all over the galaxy during the movies, and be loved by people of the galaxy. Most people will side with him. He will the galaxy and the major of the story, but Hux and his own Knights of Ren will backstab, betray him in the end because he wants to bring peace and freedom to the galaxy, not destroy planets. That sounds a bit dumb, but... So, I like Kylo being a benevolent ruler. I think, and that kind of goes with the other league. So, I think that might also be another thing. I like that, but... Why would the Knights of Ren, if they've got a big backstory with Kylo, betray him? Like, are they bloodlusted? Why? Why do they have to be bloodlusted? Oh, they're dark side, but not all dark sides were bloodlusted. Some of them were very smart, and I don't know. Ben Solo is the Last Jedi. Okay, there's a lot wrong with that, but alright. He'll help Rey and Ella Force-sensitive people about the Force and the Jedi ways. Rey won't start a new Jedi Order at all. The Jedi texts are not important here at all. There won't be a proper Jedi Order, actually. It will just be Ben Solo's new Force philosophy, which he will teach others. Okay, so... Ben turning the light side and just teaching, I guess, in a way that's to say, hey, the Skywalkers have a legacy still, but what? But he wants all that gone. He wouldn't destroy the temple, and I don't know. Again, like they could explain it, but that sounds even dumber than I think. And then the next part I fucking hate, but hey, Ben Solo and Rey are the most powerful Force users ever. The Force chose Ben Solo as the embodiment of the Prime Jedi because he is equal parts of light and dark, and the perfect Force user. But he got unbalanced and couldn't utilize his full potential power, so the Force chose Rey to balance him. Thus, Rey is awakening to balance Kylo. It's Ben Solo's destiny to bring peace to the galaxy and balance to the Force. But he can't do it without Rey. Rey has Kylo's balance, their life destinies are connected with each other, and Rey and Kylo have dreams, visions of each other since Rey was born. We will see in flashbacks for visions that your first twist of the sequel trilogy. I hate this for a lot of reasons. First up, it diminishes Anakin's role as the Chosen One. Second, it's kind of like the be-all, end-all, and then anything after this is just going to be shit. And it's just, why? What's the point? So, if you go back to the Chosen One, Anakin didn't really have, I mean, you could say it was his son, but he didn't really have there wasn't much of a balance. Anakin had to balance inside of him to balance the dark and light side. Here it's just like, no, we'll just create Rey. It's just terrible writing, and I think the worst thing about that is I can actually see Disney and JJ doing this, and that's fucked. You know, it says colors the light, Rey's the dark, and that's your second twist of the sequel trilogy. Okay, it sounds even dumber now. Oh, and Force Ghost Snoke will haunt Kylo throughout the remaining story. Okay, first up, Force Ghosts for the dark side users apparently should not exist. Lucas said they don't exist. I think they said that if you've got dark side elements, they can have a sort of spirit in there, but If that element is destroyed, then they are destroyed, but you can't have them as Force Ghosts. That goes against canon. But again, Disney. And yeah. You get young Ben Solo and Rey flashbacks, but mostly young Ben Solo. Rey has just one flashback where she will blast the parent ship. That kind of seems plausible. Title Black Diamond refers to Ben Solo, and the title of 9 referred to him as well. Ben Solo is the villain and hero of the sequel trilogy. That's your third twist of the sequel trilogy. And then it goes on to the other stuff. Ryan's trilogy is based on the origin of the Force. It's set 1,000 years before KOTOR. The Jedi texts in Last Jedi will introduce that. Solo is actually a great movie. Alden is really good as Han. Kira is the main villain. Enfrey's Nest is Force sensitive. Lando doesn't have much screen time. It's basically Han and Chewie's movie. Now, I hope that all of this is fake, but the biggest thing that scares me is the Han Solo stuff. Not because of what it sounds like, but if it's right. So, if Kira is the main villain, if Enfrey Nest is a Force sensitive, and Lando isn't it as much as we think, then it's plausible this could be at least somewhat plausible itself as well. But on that, many leaks over time have actually said, people think that Kira will be the main villain. People actually think Kira is going to be Enfrey Nest. I don't think I've heard anything about Enfrey Nest being a Force sensitive, but I have heard that Lando might not even be in it much at all, and I've heard that it will be more of a Han and Chewie's movie. So, I'm hoping these are fake, okay? I am hoping, but going back to The Last Jedi, there were a lot of people that said that the first leaks that came out when The Last Jedi was rolling and getting going were very, very close to the finished product, so I don't know. I really don't know. I know that both of these leaks have some interesting elements. I'm not going to deny that. But there's also a lot of fucking crap in there. A lot of crap that's really going to make me go, no, fuck it, I don't want this Star Wars anymore. I'm going to stick with the Legends. I'm going to stick with that. I mean, to be truthful, I would love it if you took the best of Legends, the best of this trilogy, because there is some good stuff in Disney's Star Wars that are actually quite good. But there's a lot of shit. There's more shit than good, let's put it that way. And if you just took the best of Legends, the best of this universe, washed them together, it'd be great. Could you imagine Ben Solo with Jason, Jaina, and Anakin Solo, and then you had Ben Skywalker, though if you do that, you'd have to rename Ben Solo to, like, Bail Solo, which, like I said, makes a lot more sense. And, yeah. Overall, I don't know. If this is how Star Wars is going to be, I don't know. I might actually give up on Disney Star Wars, at least past Episode 6. Like I said, Disney's universe Star Wars stuff up to Episode 6, in between 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, are fantastic. Once you get to 6, past 6 is basically boring. There's some good stuff past 6, but there's a lot of shit. And then when you get to Episode 7 and onwards, it is fucking dumb. It is a disgrace to Star Wars. It's a disgrace to filmmaking. It's a disgrace for imagination in general and world building. It's just, it doesn't understand Star Wars. But that's my view and in my opinion. Anyway, that's Aussie Viking on my thoughts on the Star Wars leaks, which, my gods, I hope is fucking fake. But anyway, Aussie Viking out. Subscribe, like if you want, yada yada yada. I like to make more videos if you like this sort of stuff. And yeah, have a good one. Aussie Viking out. Till Vala.